Thank you so much, Ted and Brian. I'm assuming that was a Gurdjieff Hartman composition?
Yes, and we'll talk about them in a second.
Oh, excellent. Good morning, I'm Lynn Israel, and I will be presenting the service today, along with guests from the Gurdjieff Foundation in Cleveland. It's the Foundation of Ohio. Tina Jones and Lisa Merrill Price are providing technical assistance, and Steve Israel is our audio operator. Please be aware we are recording this service, and it will be posted on our YouTube page. For privacy, during Joys and Concerns, we do pause the recordings. We seek inspiration and meaning from a great many faith traditions and philosophies. We support each other's lifelong spiritual journey, and we encourage work for justice and peace. We value open minds and loving hearts. Here, may our minds stretch, our hearts open, and our spirits deepen. Visitors, welcome. Actually, all of these are familiar faces except our guest speakers, except, oh my goodness, I have to have two people stand up. Ron and Jan Parton, please stand. These folks now live in North Carolina, right? But both are past presidents of MBUUC and I think founding members, we're charter members. And we miss them terribly, but they're having a grand time down south. So welcome back, just back for a visit today. And their son is at BGSU. And several people know their son, Matt. So welcome. Let's see here. So I think everybody else is getting our weekly email. Okay, so I won't make any announcements about that. Why don't you take a moment and greet the people around you? Oh, Susan, will you light the chalice when the time comes? Let's see. I think after our chalice lighting, we'll send the kids out, okay? Does that sound good? Okay. The chalice will be lit today by Susan Rogers. And please join me in reading the words for the lighting of the chalice, which should come up on the screen in just a minute. There they are. Okay. We gather this hour as people of faith with joys and sorrows, gifts and needs. We light this beacon of hope, sign of our quest for truth and meaning in celebration of the life we share together. Thank you, Susan. Oh, it didn't light, huh? Whoa, try again. There, all right, there we go. Okay, and now let's say goodbye to our kids with the song Go Now in Peace. Go now in peace, go now in peace. May the spirit of love surround you everywhere, everywhere you may go. Well, some other people that we haven't seen for a while, Diego and Stephanie and their new babies, Kieran and Arthur. Oh, so cute. And Sophie, we're so glad to see Sophie again after a long absence. So yes, all right, let's see here. Now it is my turn to introduce Karen Parrish, and I've goofed up her name a couple of different places, but it's Karen, not Diane. From the Gurdjieff Foundation. And I think, why don't you all come up and take a seat? And Karen, do you want to start sitting down with a microphone? Okay, I'll give you this one.
Well, welcome everyone. I'm so glad that you invited us today. We're going to have some more music from the cello and piano, some Gurdjieff department music in a few moments. But first, I would like to talk a little about listening. Listening. Listening is a very important part of the Gurdjieff work. It's how we listen to our outer life, the sounds of our outer life, and how we listen inside, to deeply inside ourselves. But most of our listening is only from a very small part of ourselves. It's just automatic. How to listen consciously. And that takes a certain kind of effort. And I thought, if you wish, we could try something now together. We're all sitting here on a chair. Most of us. Steve is still walking, but yes, we're all sitting here on a chair. Our feet flat on the floor. We can sense our feet. And we can begin to sense our back and the fact that it's straight. And when we do that, we begin to see the tensions that fill our body and how our shoulders can just let go and we can relax and really be here in a different way. And we can begin to listen inside to ourselves and really just try to be here at this moment, in this body, in this place. And as we listen inside, we can also sense our head. We have a head sitting on our shoulders. And that head is filled with all these automatic thoughts all the time. All the reactions, all judgments, all of that sort of thing. But how to let that quiet, how to come down into the body and allow your head to quiet. We can physically be quiet, be more still, and we allow our head to be more quiet. And then we have all the emotional stuff going on, the feelings. For me, it's mostly in my chest area. I can just allow all those emotional things to quiet too. And in a few moments, we'll be hearing some more music from the cello and the piano. And as we listen, how to listen consciously, to just simply allow the music to flow through us wordlessly. Okay, Brian and Ted? One of the things you might want to try is to close your eyes or to look down when the music plays, so that all your attention is not drawn out, but you want to try to remain quiet inside while we listen.
I'll begin with a bit of a personal journey. In the 60s, some of you were there, some of you not. I was involved in the struggle against the Vietnam War. And in one particular event, I saw clearly the violence inside of myself. And at that point, I felt that you can't fix violence with violence. And I began to try to find another way. And there appeared a book in which it was said, your being attracts your life. And this became a real question for me. What does it mean to be? We are all called human beings. What is this being part of it? And I would say that in the exploration that I have undertaken in the Gurdjieff work, I've discovered that one cannot be if one is what we call identified with all my manifestations. So in this very moment, for example, is it possible for me to speak with freedom from my concerns about how I sound, how you will respond, but to, as in one of your principles, to in this moment seek the truth. What is true in this moment? And the truth has to be, here I sound like I'm talking as if I know something, but the truth has to be whole, yes? It cannot be just from one small part of myself, or even just from my mind, or even just from the heart, even though that's so attractive. But to be from the whole of this created person. To be, and not to allow any distraction from the outside or sort of internal desire to take me off course from trying to be true in this moment. And there's even this temptation to, in Hindu it's called vidya, to have a greed for even spiritual accomplishments. And even that can be in the way and have to be discovered over and over again. All these different aspects of myself that are there for transformation, even better, for transubstantiation. That what is ordinary in me can be offered in service to something that is of a higher nature.
Something that's always struck me in the Gurdjieff work was a statement that he made that in order to escape from prison, you have first of all to see that you are in prison. And for me, what Roman was saying resonates in the fact that when he talks about being, I would say that the Gurdjieff work is a science, the science of being. And the extraordinary thing is, at any moment, I can look and see, where am I? Where's my attention? What's going on right now? For instance, Karen, brought this thing of listening. When I'm trying to listen, what exactly happens? Where's the attention? Am I thinking about it? What's going on inside? Do I feel something about it? So, something really interesting about words, like I know people today are saying it's necessary to be kind. It's true, it's necessary to be very kind. But when I'm kind to someone, what's going on inside? Is it just a pose of kindness? Or is something else going inside that I'm not recognizing? That's the prison. We don't see what's going on. We take for the pose, the outer manifestation, as what's going on the inside. And for me, what I discover is that I need to see both. Yes, it's important to be kind, but also too, is the kindness coming from me? What do I really feel in the moment I'm being kind? Do I feel anger, jealousy, resentment, boredom, all those things? And to recognize those, it's not to change them so much, but to recognize those things going on in me, the reality of it, it changes by itself. I don't have to do anything except see what's there.
When I was first invited to meet with the Cleveland group at that time, it was a meal to welcome new interested people. And in the midst of the meal, the senior member of the Cleveland group turned to me, and I hadn't spoken or said anything, and he said, "You're Ron, correct?" And I said, "Yes." And he said, "So how are you?" And I was nervous, but I did my best to be as sincere as I could be. And I said, "Well, I'm just sitting here wondering why it took so long to decide to come, to accept your invitation." And his response was, "Isn't it interesting that we spend almost all of our time in the past or in the future, not here, now?" And so this quest to understand presence, what is necessary to be here now with all of you, and potentially with a connection to something greater. The idea, the prison idea that Dean mentioned, we work with this notion that we first have to see that most of our so-called waking hours are actually in sleep. That most of the time I'm automatically or mechanically following thoughts, manifesting emotions, responding to some motor instinct, but not with real intention. So how to quiet oneself in order to receive a different impression of life that's not mechanical, that's not just reacting to these thoughts that seem so important all the time, in my case, or to an emotional arousal that's taken me somewhere before I realize I'm even there. We practice and work with these ideas together in many different forms. You've experienced a taste of music. We work with real life activity, crafts of various kinds, pottery, woodworking, gardening, cooking, fabric. And we work with movement. In all those instances, we're trying to practice bringing attention to ourselves in movement. Speaking, interacting, doing things with our bodies, our hands, and so forth. And so we thought if you would wish, we would just give another taste of trying something in movement. I'll try to, is this voice coming across on Zoom okay? I can try, okay. Just a little bit. So if you'll just find yourself on your... And as Karen suggested earlier, just for a moment, really sense my feet. Almost like I haven't met them today. There they are. I can feel the heel and the sole on the shoe on the ground. And we'll just begin lightly tapping our knees. One, two, three, 4, 5. 1, 2, slightly. Come back to the feet. Okay, and then we're going to have some positions with the right arm. Just watch for a moment. Keep tapping. 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Just tap. You try it with me, and we'll hold each one for 2 counts. 1, 2, right arm. 3, 4, and 5. Remember my feet. Really try as best I can to keep some of my attention on that sensation of my feet on the ground. We'll go again. Ready? 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, Again, 1, 2, 3, 4. Back to my feet. You can see that as I'm moving the arms, my attention is coming up into the head, maybe even some tension there in the neck. I don't need that. Slow it down. 1, 2, 3. Now we have the left arm. Just watch. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. With me, 2, 3, left arm, 4, again, 1, 2, 3, 4. Right arm, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Again with the right arm, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Just tapping. 1, 2, 3. When we start, we'll start with the left arm. 3, 4, 5. Now, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3. Now the right arm. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Left arm. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right arm. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Wrap. 2. You're going to try both arms. 3, 4, and now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah. It's not about getting it perfect or correct. It's about trying and coming back to this sensation. The head won't do it all by itself. The body won't remember it all by itself. How to be more here, just trying. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Once more. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Stop. And just for a moment, take a new impression of yourself sitting here. just try to take in all of me sitting on the chair. There's nothing specific to find. It's just opening to seeing. How am I now? Thank you.
Do you have more presentation, or do you want to get right into the questions?
Questions are fine. Yes, we'd like to be able to respond to questions. So if you have time, we're happy to do that.
Do we need another microphone for people who are asking questions? Oh, grab that one. I guess I'll start by asking, Karen, how did you initially discover the Gurdjieff teachings, and what drew you to it?
I've been searching since my teens. I would read all kinds of things, all religions, everything I could find about the kind of spiritual life. The church I grew up in just didn't seem to answer questions that I had, or couldn't find a place in myself to respond. So one of the time I happened to be at the library in Medina, and I pulled out a book, and there it was, Venture with Ideas. I read it, and it was just, everything just opened in me. It was like it spoke to something deep inside. And that's where I began. There were other people in Medina where I live, that I found, and we began meeting. That was in 1969.
Was that one of the Gurdjieff's books that you read?
Well, it was a student of Gurdjieff, yes, yes.
Hi, welcome. I was in elementary school during the 60s when you were talking about the Vietnam War, and I remember on the news watching the Vietnam War on the news and Black people being hosed. And today's political climate is very difficult. And I was just, because I remember many times when I was swearing at the TV when the past president was on, would you say taking action is, helps you overcome anger that you feel as far as political action or any type of action for change? I was just wondering how you've dealt with your feelings about Vietnam War and beyond.
In Hindu literature, and especially in a piece of literature called the Bhagavad Gita, there is a concept called ahimsa. Ahimsa means nonviolence. It's where Gandhi got his idea. It also means more than action. It can also mean, or does also mean, non-violation, where there is the emotional or mental abuse of others, whether intentional or unintentional. The question in any form of manifestation is this: where am I? And as I discovered, as I mentioned, that I am imbued with violence in myself, that cannot have the outcome that one desires. It is very difficult to not have wishes of a violent nature when you think that things are unjust. I'm of East European background, so what's taking place in the Ukraine today is very tempting inside of me to have those kinds of negative, violent thoughts. In the Bhagavad Gita, there's a great warrior named Arjuna, and he speaks to Krishna. And Krishna tells him that because he is a great warrior, it is his destiny to take on this action, which is a war, unfortunately, with other members of his own family. But to not let one drop of blood enter into his heart. So once again, it's not a question of whether action or inaction is the right question. It's where am I that I can take action, but not let the violence, the darkness be within me as I undertake that action. Does that make sense? It's kind of Lord of the Ring-ish too. You know?
I had another question. You mentioned that some of your activities are gardening and crafts and all this type of thing. Do you do them together as a group or individually?
We gather together as a group, and we have teams. So there would be a kitchen team, a pottery team, a gardening team, maintenance team, woodworking team, so forth. So that's how we do it, and we encourage not working by ourselves. Because when you're working with others, something occurs that's different than I'm just working by myself, then I tend to just dream. But if I'm working with others who are also trying, there's a difference. And for myself, I think it's, when we talk about, like for instance, I talked about, you don't have to change anything, just see what is. Where does this idea of change come from? It comes from the ego. The ego wants to be the authority instead of seeing what is and accepting that. So it comes up all the time. Those kinds of things, the dreaming, all the associations, everything comes up honestly, all the time. That's how we live. But if there's a moment where I see that, then there is an active element that's not there otherwise. Well, this work has nothing to do with accepting anything. It has to do with verifying everything. So I look at the situation and I see for myself, this is how it is with me. I would say it's probably like that for everybody else. I'm not alone. And then I don't have to react. I don't have to say, oh, I'm a terrible person because I'm dreaming. I see that I'm dreaming. There's a moment I can see that I'm dreaming. And okay, that disappears, it comes back, disappears. That's really so interesting to me.
We have time probably for, one or two more questions, Jan?
Just wondering, how are you different spiritually and emotionally than you were before you found, and I can't pronounce, Gurdjieff?
I was raised in Christian Science and stopped attending anything formal about midway through my university years. What has changed for me is that through the efforts that we try together and on our own over the years, I believe I have experienced a connection with the divine. And we all have different names for that, but a glimpse, a moment of being a part of something omnipresent, omniscient, omnipotent that I never had growing up. Growing up, it was mostly up here, repetition and so forth.
Yeah, so in other world religions, there is an ultimate goal. In Christianity, of course, when you die, you want to go to heaven. Buddhism, you want to become awakened and leave that spiral of reincarnation. Is there an ultimate goal in this practice? Other than, I mean, I understand it's to be and be in the present, but is there some sort of reward that you get after a lifelong practice of this? Well, yeah, is there a form of salvation in this?
Yeah, it's a good question because that kind of goal and achievement is a part of our outer life all the time. I mean, our whole world is about accomplishing things. We're accomplishing things, finding this goal. But that's our outer life. Inside, I don't find it that way. Inside, I find it uncomfortable often. It's not a happy place every day, every moment. But it's a place I'm willing to be uncomfortable with because I'm willing to face who I am at that moment. And I'm really willing to be who I am at that moment. And that's so nourishing for me. It's so, how do I say it? It's powerful in a sense for me to really feel a part of the world, a part of life in the world, the fact that I am alive, and really feel that life right now at this moment. And know that all of you too are alive. And know that we're all going to die. That's an important thing too, to remember, to help me to remember. But not only to feel my life, we talk about sensing our body and being aware of being here, being present, but how to really feel the gratitude for the fact that life has been given to me. How do I bring that feeling of gratitude? And once I begin to feel my own life, I see that all of life is here. And I'm a part of that. You want to say anything?
I think now we're going to quickly pass the basket, and I think Brian and Ted are going to play a little bit of music for us during that time, and we'll have a moment for closing words from you folks in just a little bit, if you want. I don't know if you want to come back here and sit in the front row or not.
The reward is right now. No, it's, I mean, not in a casual way. If one experiences, be still and know that I am the Lord, then that stillness which can take place in this moment and has value in this moment, not past, not future, but now, then there is a reward, you might say, if you want to call it that. One begins to also realize that the stillness which opens the door to I am. Has its own value. And we talk about worth in this principle. The worth that I can have is to be a place where that descends from above into the earth. It's not about me, not about reward from me. It's that there is a descent that can take place through me if all my ordinary parts, still present, but nevertheless out of the way.
Thank you, Ted. And thank four of you very much for your presentation. And it's, as I said, you will have a moment for kind of some final words too. But now is the time for sharing of joys, concerns, and milestones. One of our most precious traditions at MVUUC, and yeah, we're running kind of short on time, but if you have something you'd really like us to know, please come up to the sharing table and tell us about it while placing a stone in the water. Tina, please stop the recording. Does anyone have anything to share? When are you starting your yoga classes? Huh? Oh.
So, yeah, I am going to start up yoga again. We're going to try. I'm going to try to teach it here in front of the camera so that those of you who can't make it can watch, and I'll record it on Zoom, and then that way you can watch it in perpetuity. And it's going to be chair yoga. I think that seems to be the most popular form for everybody. So,
Is it next Monday you start?
no.
No.
October, but we don't have a date quite yet. Lisa and Steve and I need to get together and figure out how to teach chair yoga with a microphone and all that other stuff. So
But it is
stay
coming.
tuned. It is coming.
Good. All right, any other announcements? All right, let's see here. An announcement, I'm planning to take our guests out to lunch at Scramblers afterwards, and anybody who is able to join us and would like to join us is certainly welcome. And now, if you would be willing to give us some closing words for closing thoughts for our service today. Did you have anything prepared? Yes, we are. Do you want just to go right into that? We could do that right now. It's, I think, very powerful just to watch the video. Oh, here.
Can everyone hear me?
We'll give you the microphone.
My voice is gently carried.
But so that people on Zoom can hear you.
All right. One of Mr. Gurdjieff's statements is very simple. Every stick has two ends. So there is the above, there is the below. And what Mr. Gurdjieff brought was a way to unite, always and everywhere, what is above to what is below.
All right, let's go ahead with the video, I believe.
Probably know Vistaprint for business cards. Yeah.
Please join me in reading the words for extinguishing the chalice. Yes.
Before you do that, there was one more announcement. Could we do that?
Oh, sure. Who had an announcement? Oh, sure enough.
Sorry to have missed
missed announcements. We'll have to view those later. I'm Colleen.
I'm Robin.
We're Fellowship, and we have one last call for the chili cook-off, so you can buy tickets to vote today or next Sunday. The cook-off is next Sunday, so that's when we really need you to show up and eat some chili. That's the most important part. Just come and eat the chili. Today is the deadline to register your chili if you would like to be a part of the competition. So there's a Google form. We can send you the link, or you can find the link in the newsletter, or there's a QR code on the bulletin board out there. So there's different ways to find the Google form to register your chili. Please also just keep looking at the bulletin board for fellowship information, because we also have other stuff coming up on October 20th and 29th. But the chili cook-off is imminent.
It's happening.
Yeah.
Next week.
Okay. Good? Anything on chili? All right.
Okay.
We'll be out in the social hall.
All right, please join me. Because of those who came before, we are. Whatever their failings, we believe. Because of and despite the horizons of their visions, we too dream. Let us go remembering to praise, to live in the moment, to love mightily, and to bow to the mystery. Thank you.